Welcome everybody. Good evening.
Evening.
Hello, hello. Hi, so glad to see you all. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad to be here. And I'm very glad to see you all. So, let me see. While everybody is arriving still, please feel free to put in the chat where you're located, where you're from, the city, the country. I always find it really amazing to see from which part of the world really people are gathering around reconnective healing. So I will pause, take a pause after every sentence or two sentences, because we have translation, live translation. If you want to listen this conversation in English, then you are at the right place. You don't have to do anything. If you want to listen in French or Dutch, then you can click on the little globe below the screen and you can choose the language of your preference. Can you find it, the little globe? So if you choose French, you will hear my dear colleague, practitioner Fanny Bastogne. And if you choose, no, I switched it, I'm sorry. If you choose Dutch, you will hear Emile de Jong, photographer and instructor located in the Netherlands in Almere. Right, and if you choose French, you will hear my colleague and practitioner Fanny Bastogne, who is located in Wallonie, La Belgique, Villers-la-Ville. And then also we have Nushka van Spijbroek, who will keep an eye on the chat. Hi.
Hi.
If you have questions during this gathering or you want to share something, don't hesitate to put something in the chat. And we will probably keep all questions till the end of the meeting when we have a little Q&A, but it would be nice if you already just shared with us and with everyone what your thoughts are, what your questions are. So, oh yeah, just a last important practical thing. This the Zoom meeting will be recorded. So it can be used later on for promotional purposes. If you don't like this, there's a possibility to just turn off your camera. Of course, if you just like us love all these smiling faces, we would suggest to just leave your camera on. Okay, I'm just checking if Dr. Eric and Jillian are already in. I don't see them. Okay, so. I can see everybody is in, everybody's comfortable. Let's start with a short introduction of reconnective healing. For those who don't know me yet, I'm Melissa. I'm a Belgian practitioner of reconnective healing. I'm also a member of GLST, as well as Fanny is. And I'm an instructor in training for the reconnection. Let's start just with this introduction. In the 90s, Dr. Pearl was then a respected chiropractor in LA. When suddenly he noticed that his patients responded better and stronger to his treatments when he was not touching them. Now, I can imagine this must have been quite shocking. He gave in to an unprecedented call, and step by step, against the establishment of a scientific value of his colleagues, he discovered these new healing frequencies. And gave it the name reconnective healing. He made it his mission to make it more widely accessible to the wider public. And in doing this, he likes to put an end to guruism. From the concept of unity, of oneness, everyone is equal and everyone can discover this self-healing capacity in themselves and learn to use it for the greater good. Because if such thing even exists, everyone has the healer gene. Now, reconnective healing came into my awareness at challenging times, at emotional and distressing times in my life. But it was exactly what I needed. Although I could not immediately understand what it was. So, what was it? How can we explain reconnective healing in contemporary terms? Reconnective healing is a simple and powerful way of energy healing. Now let me break this up for you. These two words, energy, healing. Let's start with healing. Healing is a term that is in most countries considered as medical. The medical scientific world understands healing as curing a disease, fixing a problem, repairing something that is broken or damaged, freeing something that is blocked, and so on. And this makes sense because here, from this point of view, a human being is seen as and treated as a body with thoughts, with feelings, with ideas, with opinions. Whereas a practitioner of reconnective healing, we get a far more wider picture of what it means to be a human. So from this point of view, healing is returning. Healing is a reconnection. A reconnection with the greater whole, with source, with our soul, with quantum field, the universe, with God. Call it whatever you want to call it. Now, I remember when I came back from my training program, the Catalyst in Prague some years ago. I remember the word human when I came back. It was turning around in my head. I could taste it in my mouth. And when I tried to wrap my head around what was changed with this word human, I could feel that I could feel the endless possibilities. I could feel the options in the word human. I really could feel the infinity. Now let's take the other word, energy healing. Let's go to the word energy. Thanks to Albert Einstein, everywhere we look on social media, we see this quote, everything is energy. And as we just talked about being connected or reconnected with the field of endless possibilities, in fact, if everything is vibration, if everything is energy, we not only are a part of this enormously energy field, we are this field. Now, if you are this field and I am this field and Nushka is this field and Luc and Chelsea, well, can we say there is oneness? So let's just do this little recap. Reconnective healing is not a technique. It's not a treatment, it's not a cure. We don't fix a problem. We don't need rituals or protection. We don't need external things to help us during this healing experience. We do not need candles or healing music of the whales. We don't need purifying crystals. We don't send energy, as everything is energy and everything is connected. You can simply tune in, and in this interaction, in this experience, healing takes place. This explains beautiful why reconnective healing is perfectly applicable from distance also. And as practitioners, reconnective healing, we are not sending energy. We do not need to direct energy to any problematic area. Our role as practitioner is the same as the client, to observe, to witness. We call this receivership. And maybe we can later on talk about this with Dr. Eric and Jillian. Now, what is so fascinating about reconnective healing, besides the simplicity and the power, it is that it is accessible for everyone and that it can easily be learned in a very easy and simple way. Because the direct path to healing lies within us. So I think this short and brief introduction is well, I could go on for hours, but let's just say that I think this is now a perfect moment to go over to Dr. Pearl and Jillian. Welcome. I can see you entered the room. Hello, how are you? We can't hear you. Can anybody else? No, nobody else? Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear
yes.
us now?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Nice to see everyone.
It is. It is.
We were planning on doing the whole interview in sign language, but
This would be new.
Thank you, Melissa.
I don't know if you already are long in the room, if you could follow what is already said or not.
of course.
Of
Oh, you
course.
mean, did we understand what we're saying? Of course.
Okay.
It was beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lovely introduction, Melissa.
And we're looking forward to the questions that you've got planned for us in this interview.
I did not prepare questions because I was really hoping to go with the flow. It's a beautiful exercise.
Yeah.
Of course, whatever comes up is great.
Yes. So maybe this receivership is a beautiful starting point. Could you tell us something more about receivership in the reconnective healing experience?
Receivership is actually life experience. If we allow ourselves to recognize that, it's being. And during the reconnective healing experience, we allow ourselves to let go, as you so beautifully explained to everyone, of the concepts and the feelings of need for doing. And instead we allow ourselves to be, and being is receiving.
I also think there is a quality that when we use the word healing, or when we are seeking a healing event, as you pointed out, Melissa, often we are focused on doing something to change a particular situation, whether it's emotional or mental or physical. And this often ignites a sense of separation because we perceive that we are separate. We are a subject, if you will, in need of an object of some sort or another, right? So we use the mind, and often we go out on the search for healing. In this approach, we are investigating something much more direct. We are investigating where healing, not as a object of something we're seeking or needing, but where healing lives. Its very nature is that which we are already. So often in the reconnective healing experience, something curious happens. We start to notice that the impulse to seek the healing isn't necessary. We begin to notice that healing, in a way, is the revealing or the receiving of ourself to ourself. Yes.
Oh, this is really, isn't it? It is beautiful, but if I try to understand this with my head,
You cannot.
And that's where we want to really explore and discover today, is that healing is not something in the larger picture that we can understand with our heads. Part of what has limited the effectiveness of the many healing techniques out there is that they are explained through the mind. And we feel that we understand it cerebrally, and yet we have to realize that these thoughts and our words are building blocks of the of a form. They tell you texture and color and feel and smell, and yet healing is formless. So our words of form, our thoughts of what we try to understand with our minds are all pointing lights, shining lights in certain directions. Yet ultimately, we must release the words of form, just like we release the techniques and the training wheels and the rituals you talked about. And we find that the light has shown us, has given us a direction in which to look. But with this looking, It's really to allow the unveiling or the revealing of truth, the unveiling or the revealing of the essential being that we are to ourselves. And when we unveil and reveal ourselves to ourselves, not only do we come to a new centeredness, a beingness, a knowingness, we also become that light that points in a direction that allows others to unveil themselves to themselves. And therefore, healing cannot be in one direction. Healing cannot be of a starting point and a stopping point. From here to there, space and time. Healing is a beingness that cannot be of only one, but it's the healing of everyone and everything. Healing can be nothing less. True healing can be nothing less. We confuse it, as you started to say, with medical concepts of treatment and therapy and symptoms, but that's not healing. Those are tiny little alsos, side effects of the greater picture of healing that is.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Eric, but I have two interpreters, Fanny and Emil, who are having difficult to follow your explanation. So if it is possible, could you just not talk slower, but after a sentence or two, just take a short pause so they have time to translate what you are saying?
Sure. I didn't realize it was consecutive translation. I thought it was simultaneous.
Yes, and as they are not trained interpreters, well, they're doing a great job, but it's not that they do it every day. So
thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's make something a little more concise.
Okay.
When reconnective healing, as you said, Melissa, first we'll say appeared. It appeared through a sensation that in our physical fragment, in our embodied self, we could feel, yes?
Yes.
Initially, the feeling or the perceiving became where our attention tried to assign the what this is, right? How this works. And that's a very common way in which we begin to follow what we'll call a progressive path. The progressive path often is something that the personality, the character, the ego starts off on as the initial discovery, and this is quite important, the initial discovery that it isn't what it thinks it is. The ego isn't, and the personality isn't exactly what it thinks it is. It perceives and conceives itself, just like we're looking at each other in these little squares, as separate, as distinct objects known as people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Melissa, Melissa's looking at me. I perceive that there are two people here, or to images, I can see Melissa from a second person perspective, but I don't know what Melissa is experiencing inside, right?
Right.
Right. So part of this initial introduction to reconnective healing is something in the exchange of what we call energy, light, and information. As Melissa beautifully pointed out, you can replace that with God. I like that word. Love. I like that word. Infinite intelligence, source, being, all that is.
Or that grand watermelon in the sky.
But it is a knowing I am prior to, or something in the background of everything that we are able to perceive and conceive in the world. It's there. If you close your eyes for just a moment, let's play with this. Just close your eyes for a moment and explore the nature as a sensation when you think or say aloud, I am. Just allow the resonance of sensation to be present. And you might just say that a couple of times, or perceive and conceive in your thinking mind, I am. And just notice if this requires a confirmation in any way. Does it require a confirmation to see yourself? Does it require a confirmation to be seen by another? Or is it innately, essentially, something you know knowingly? It's a curious idea. That I am. Now, if you open your eyes for a moment, and if I were to say, I am Jillian, there is an activity, if you will, an object, I'm going to say an activity known as Jillian. Jillian is a person. But if you play around with that just a little bit, you can use any object in your room. You can use any activity. You'll begin to notice there is a distinctive awareness in your pure knowing that is not of the mind when you are referring to that which you are. That is essential, ever present, unchanging. And we refer to that as your being, your reality, actually, the reality that is you. So in the reconnective healing experience, part of the beautiful One Experience or Catalyst weekend, you, the person, sometimes referred to as a finite being or a separate self, are revealed to be something not exactly as you may have understood yourself to be. You reveal what we often term your true nature, your reality, that you are. And in this exploration, utterly intimate, but impersonal, you begin to glimpse oneness. The dissolving agent, energy, light, and information, is a dissolving agent of this illusion of separation. And you don't need to do anything. You become, in the beginning, the witness and the observer. You, the person, the activity, Jillian, at first becomes the witness and the observer. But outside of time and space, and within time and space, in a very short period, that separation of the witness or the observer softens, and you begin to glimpse that you are both the observer and the observed, the witness and the witnessed. And this is a freedom. It is a healing all to its own. It is the very root of all healing. So the illusion of separation is revealed. That is the receiving that Melissa was touching upon. There is only one's capacity to receive in this approach, because there is no other. There is no other. It is as if God places a virtual headset on in order to view the world. So we begin to have a felt sense of this experience in the Catalyst weekend. We begin to explore the felt sense, not the philosophy or the concept or the words. They're there, but they are an accommodation. And in this dissolving agent, there's a softening of those imbalances that have been tightly held, we'll say, in the illusion of separation. They are freed. They are freed from thinking and feeling. And often, as a consequence, and please hear what we mean, often there is a healing result, which we refer to as a consequence of this new knowingness, of this glimpse of that which we are. So it's very joyous. It isn't another state of mind that you may have come to learn in many, many beautiful progressive path techniques. It is a dissolving of the states of mind that are temporary and finite, that come and go, that dissolve the need for the repetition that often the progressive path or our mantras or our meditations confine us to. We become the meditation. We don't need to do a meditation.
We discover that we are that meditation. So whereby the things that we're looking to bring about, the pain going away, or the this changing, or the that changing, becomes not so much the focus or the grand result. It's that healing is so much larger that those results, as important as they may be to us, become, oh, and by the way, that also happened. By the way, that also happened. But something much larger happened because our lives have changed because of the recognition of who we are, not only to ourselves, the discovery of this by those in our lives, whether deeply in our lives, or even whether just passing in our lives like someone we walk past on the sidewalk.
So why or how does one become the healer? Many of you or some of you may be thinking to come because you'd like to be a healing practitioner. So what does that mean in this approach? One of the things we'd want you to know in the very early discovery of this experience is that everyone is a healer. And your capacity to receive is what allows you to share your being, the healing, all healing, with everyone and everything that you come into contact with.
And these recognitions are very key to recognizing who we are, that simultaneously everyone is special and therefore no one is special. And the reason that I bring this up is that our languaging sometimes separates or divides where there is no separation or division. Even something as lovely sounding as the healing gene makes it sound as if some of us have it and some of us don't. No, it is the makeup, part of the makeup of every living, breathing creature. Really, if you're willing to step this much further beyond that, everyone and everything is love, is being, is peace, is joy, and is healing. There's not even the healer and the healed. There is healing itself. There's not even the observer and the observed. There is observation itself. There's no longer subject and object division.
And for those of you who are scientifically minded, I do want to touch on sort of the emerging truths that both quantum physics as well as the sort of leading biologists, we are at an intersection where a very conclusive discovery that there is no actual such thing as space and time. Space and time is a very useful part of the VR headset worn in the mind of God or in the mind of Source the mind of that which we are, in order to view, to perceive and conceive what we call the world. And as the softening, meaning as our capacity to receive and reveal our reconnection or our oneness becomes a felt experience. The choices that we make in our daily lives to share healing becomes innate. It becomes something that organically calls us, organically rises in the body-mind, rather than it being something that we are choosing to do, be it as a profession or just our personality or our ego's desire to serve, to change what we see around us, because suffering is so challenging. It becomes our shared nature, and it doesn't have a specific reason. It becomes more of the awareness that this is. It is what we are. It is the isness and the amness of all things.
And there is an amness and an amness of all things. So when we say time and space, science has shown that time and space don't exist. Let's clarify for a moment, because it's easy to say, of course, time exists. I made an appointment for lunch and I'll be meeting my friends then. I've marked something on the calendar and we'll be getting together then. I'm over here, someone else is over there, and someone else is somewhere else. So these things must exist. What science is expressing, is sharing with us, is that these are illusions. Now let's look at the word illusion. An illusion is not something that doesn't exist. An illusion is something that is not what it appears to be.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you're walking through a hot desert, you and your friends, way far ahead of you, you might see a pool of water, a mirage of water. You all see it, so it's real. But you get there, and it isn't water. The illusion is something that is real, but is not what it appears to be. And that is what we're speaking of when we share with you that there is no longer the concept of time and space as there once was.
In a very practical way, let's use a different example. If you go skiing, you may put on a pair of goggles that makes the snow look orange, because it's easier to see the terrain when the snow is orange. It's not reflective. And if you're wearing your goggles all day long, you will come perhaps to think that the snow is orange, right? Now, when you remove your goggles, the snow is white. It's always been white. It's never been anything other than white. And yet, the orange terrain was not an illusion. It was real. It had a valuable purpose, if you will, through perceiving and conceiving. And that, in essence, is what science is figuring out, that time and space is good for the fitness of perceiving and conceiving our experiences. But just like when you look at your computer, if we are looking at this screen and we think this is what really is behind this screen, we are of the illusion that this is all there is. As we know, there are no frames or pixels. This is coding. We don't see the coding. We couldn't handle our capacity to see everything that consciousness sees. And I think this is a good moment to say everything that we speak about as energy, light, and information is synonymous with consciousness. It's just another way we express consciousness. So consciousness experiences itself, one consciousness, as each and every one of us. That's our reality. And in the revealing of that, we touch our truth. We touch love. We touch something inside us, even though that's, again, we're just perceiving that. Something inside tells us we are more than we think we are, or we are not exactly what we appear to be, just like the orange snow. So these are metaphors, perhaps. You'll explore this deeply because each of us experiences the reconnective healing experience in the truth of our own experience. No two experiences are the same. But healing is. So anyway, I think we've said a lot. Any questions?
Yes, it is quite interesting. As always, I'm speechless about everything I hear. I'm wondering, are there questions? As someone wants to share, or I see here ribbons who wants to ask, or yes.
Good evening, everybody. My question is, what's the difference between awareness and consciousness? Because if we translate it in our language, it means the same. So can you clear this for me, please?
In the way that we refer to consciousness and awareness, they are the same. But they are not a state of awareness or a state of consciousness. They are pure awareness, consciousness, meaning one entity expressing itself as 11 billion things, not including animals and plants.
I know there is only one. There is only one.
There's only one.
So you can be conscious of something. You can be aware of something, but it's that consciousness or awareness itself don't have a beginning, a middle, or an end, so they can't be states.
So, Guy, I'd like to ask you a question, since I hear you say, "I know," and I feel the felt sense when you say that. I know there is only one consciousness. So, what would your language be like if all of your experiences were spoken as verbs. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. In other words, there were no nouns. There wasn't a place, a person, or a thing. So you might say, I am swimming in the beautiful, in the beauty of musicness.
Mhm.
Or you understand what I'm saying? We collapse this idea of there being multiple things, and this is it's an interesting felt sense of our activities when they are in essence verbs, not nouns.
Mhm.
Are you following me?
A little bit. It's
Okay.
complicated, like you try to explain it.
I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to just look for one that will be very simple. But it is a felt sense that there is only one.
Mm.
And yet, a multiplicity and diversity of activities are appearing. Yes?
Yeah. Mhm.
But that is, as Eric was speaking to, that is real in a way. But less and less, it becomes the felt sense of our reality. Less and less do we feel that experience of separation.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes
Yeah.
it's in nature when we're walking. Yes.
Mhm. So what I'm experiencing now is I'm here attending a meeting and there is nothing else. If I don't let the mind speak, if I don't listen to the now, I can fully feel what I feel right now and there is nothing else. So the present moment for me is something, yeah, what I try to be in all day. Not all the time, right? But sometimes the mind is there, but I think it's very powerful to be all the time in the present moment. Not only
Perfect.
if you do reconnective healing. I think that's also a part that you have to accept in your life, or try to integrate in your life.
So how would you say? Would you say I am here-ness?
I am,
Or
or I
right.
am that I am.
I am that I am. Okay. And if you're walking in the woods and you are experiencing nature, would you say I am tree-ness or I
Yeah,
am
you,
flowerness?
you can feel the connectivity with everything that there is. You
That's
are
right.
experiencing there, because if you start to think how this tree will feel, of how this leaf will taste, then you're busy with your mind and you're not busy with your self, with your being. And what I have learned is to learn to express yourself in the present moment. There is nothing else. Be present.
But even when you say be present, you are still suggesting a level of separation. So take that walk one little step behind that.
With the
I
explanation, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, just the felt sense of one step just behind I am present.
Mhm.
You would say I am presence. I am presence. Or again, if you're walking and observing nature, I am greenness, I am treeness, I am flowerness. There is, and we do experience or glimpse that sensation, you know? but it's difficult to put into words when we are looking at things from the second person's perspective. Yes, but our experience is not the second person's perspective. We know ourselves to be I, one. So this is what starts to soften in the reconnective healing experience. This perceiving and conceiving starts to change for the body-mind. Not even in the body-mind, but the body-mind begins to dissolve in this sort of sense of a subject and an object. Even if it's just while lying on the table or in a session, it isn't anything we have to design as a thought in order to reveal. And that's really unique.
Or it's uniquely recognized. In other words, being is all that we really are. Yet our mind obscures that, and then we follow the mental thinking of separation and otherness. Healing, like you, like everyone, healing is. We obscure that because the mind goes looking for how-tos. That's when we approach our methods, our techniques, our approaches. And really, ultimately, if you think about it, the ultimate design of every approach to something, including healing, of every technique is to self-dissolve. Nothing that requires effort can be maintained in an ongoing way. Your yoga positions, the asanas, cannot be maintained forever. Certain thoughts may not be maintained forever. Breathing a certain way cannot be maintained forever. At some point, even just as an extreme example, blinking requires effort and can't be intentionally maintained forever. Beingness is what and who we are, is our presence. And ultimately, those people involved in healing at the highest level are doing nothing except allowing themselves to be presence, beingness, or in the words that you opened this discussion with, consciousness and awareness that we are, because we are first consciousness, we are first awareness, and only after that is manifested physical matter, bodies, being, techniques, approaches. They're all a separation, if you will, from the beingness that is you, that is you.
And you're right, Guy. There is only here. There is only here. There is no there. You know, we always say, okay, go to the past. We'll wait right here for you. Go ahead. Go ahead, Guy. Or go ahead, Chelsea. You go to the past. Or go to the future. We'll be waiting right here for you. We can go to the right. We can go there in our mind.
It's happening all the time in all the different time lapses, or how in all the different universes. It's happening all at once, all in this time.
So we are always here. We're never there. We are always now. We are never then. And as all of these attempts to do something, be somewhere, as we allow them to dissolve, we find that we are. This is why, you know, people say, what is reconnective healing reconnecting? Well, in essence, it's reconnecting the entirety of healing itself, because by disappearing the techniques, we're disappearing the separation And yet, once we grasp that, we realize that there has never been a disconnection to begin with. What is reconnecting is the awareness of who and what we are. And that is what allows ourselves to stand in our presence. And this is what allows healings to show up for us, that which has always been in the first place, but we didn't recognize.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. He will be a participant at a Catalyst in 2 weeks. So this will be lovely to see him there. Are there other questions someone wants to share? Someone wants to ask? Now it's the right time to speak up.
Perfect.
Do you know why now is the right time to speak up?
Because there is
There
only
is
now.
no other time than now.
I'm starting to getting it slowly but certain. I do see question in the chat. It's from Peter Verbroek. I will read it. Isn't language and its words not the limitation innate to our human state when facilitating? Can't read it really. Just a second, please. If facilitating the I am swiftly evolve into we are even more, then we disappear and only the being is. Did I say this correctly?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Fanny, I want, or Emil, let me have you translate this. Time is what eternity looks like when viewed through thought. Space is what infinity looks like when viewed through perception. Time is what eternity looks like when viewed through thought or thinking. Space is what infinity looks like when viewed through perceiving or perception. It is all dimensionless consciousness flowing through two channels of the mind: thought and perception. And it appears to itself as time and space. So in the direct path to healing, which is this approach, we start at the conclusion and we never leave there. We start at the one and we never leave there.
Because in a progressive path, wherever it leads us, no matter how far, no matter whether over 2 weeks or 25 years, the path is designed to bring us back to where we already are. And so our only choice is how long and how far to take a path, or whether to exist already at the conclusion, the pathless path, the direct path, the beingness that we are, without needing to journey until we are willing to accept that which we already are.
Perfect. I want to give Guy one last contemplation.
Yes. Yes, please.
Consciousness is the only knowing element in all experience. There is only consciousness that is knowing in all experience. So in a way, it's through our finite mind. It's through the agency of our finite mind that the infinite is able to know experience. This is, again, each of us is God's virtual headset.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful purpose. This is the purpose that allows, again, this Leela, the world, to appear. And when we understand this, everything about the world, all experience, we can love, even when we're suffering. We see, we know. It's oneness. It is the one in everything. The things we love and the things we don't love.
Who was it who said, every life contains pain, but suffering is a choice? Speaking of choices, while we're here, are there any other questions anyone would like to ask?
Good question. Are there any other questions?
I have another question. If I don't want even another one, even another person want, they can go at it. How important is the heart, opening of the heart, for as a reconnective healing practitioner?
The heart is consciousness.
I know that.
So it isn't something that opens and closes.
No.
So the recognition of its ever-present, unchanging, absolutely perfect presence is what we reveal. We can't open the heart any more than we can become enlightened.
Now, it's common
We
wording.
can't, I just want to,
It's
we can't become something we already are.
No.
so it's common wording from the older dualistic approaches to say you need to open your heart.
Mhm.
In truth, that becomes the illusion of separation or duality. As Jillian said, you can't open your heart. However, we can reveal to ourselves that our heart is always open. We can stand in that presence, the awareness, the consciousness that we are, but no one truly has a closed heart. And it's funny, it's like, if you've read the first book, The Reconnection, you'll find there is that language in the first book, because that was the way that I saw it. And that was partly because that was the way that it was being spoken of at that time. But as greater and greater awareness has been revealed to us, we began to recognize the limitations of that linguistic approach.
Thank you.
And what would it mean if we were to use the dualistic language in this way to open the heart? It would be simply to stand up and walk towards ourself. Try that. Stand up and walk towards yourself. You can't walk to where you already are. So in a beautiful recognition and something that we hope this gathering inspires in you, you are love itself. Whether we feel, think, believe, we are love itself. It is that which we are. So it waits always in the background of all of our experiences, perceived and conceived lifetimes, challenges, sufferings. It waits as it is.
And the understanding of this is a portal, is a doorway, a recognition, a revealing as to what healing is. Simultaneously, it is healing itself. So often people come saying, I want this healing, that healing, the other healing. What they're really saying is, I want this symptomatic result. I want that treatment effect. I want this diagnostic change. And really, those are just small subsections of the greater picture of what healing is, because healing is. And we find that when we stop focusing on those small subsections, they come along with healing as they are appropriate, because, oh, and with healing, by the way, this also comes, this also comes. But when we are looking for specific diagnostic cures and treatments, we have to realize that with the greater picture of healing, sometimes those cures come, and other times healings of generally much greater magnitude show up that we may or may not notice, depending on our willingness to soften our intentional focus and instead allow our peripheral vision and recognition to take in far more of the gift, far more of the picture.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you. I see we already go over time, so I would really ask if there anybody else who wants to ask something, because otherwise we will slowly end this lovely meeting. Well, I think it's been beautiful. I would really like to thank you, Dr. Eric and Jillian, to make this evening possible, for your sharing.
Our pleasure. Thank you for inviting us, Melissa.
Right. And you know,
Thank you, Fanny, and thank you, Emil.
sometimes when there are no questions, that silence is so pregnant that it is the greatest of sharing and communications. There's nothing that is empty because it is absent.
Mhm.
It is an emptiness, a void that is very full and will continue speaking to us long after this finite internet connection at the moment comes to a close.
Oh, just in time, another hand. Let's hear, where is it? It disappeared?
It was Peter. I know Peter's name from our Instagram lives,
Yes.
but I don't see him speaking now. I just see his picture. Peter, did you have a question? Because you're on mute. Maybe not.
No, can't find him anymore. And
Peter has a question in the chat.
Aha.
Thanks, Mary. Hi, Mary.
oh, he has no microphone. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Can you
So
read the question in the chat?
there's no question, just the sharing that he will be at the Catalyst Weekend.
Aha.
And that he already facilitates sessions and would like to know more about personal reconnection.
Perfect.
So he will have to register for this RCPP training level 3 also, I guess. I hope to
And
see you there, Peter.
And I think, Peter, it's a good point to raise. The learning of the personal reconnection is a magnificent deepening into the felt sense of the reconnective healing experience. And it gives great consideration in this training to the actual body as this fragment, if you will, this appearance and fragment. So when you are learning the personal reconnection, there's a intimacy with the physicality, whereas in the reconnective healing experience training, we are observing sort of a disappearing of this physical form. In the personal reconnection, we are brought through the entanglement, if you will, more of how the personal reconnection interacts with the appearance of this fragment. So it's very exciting. I'm glad you will be learning that approach and process. Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Love you all. Christine, your smile is infectious. Thank you for that smile, Christine. Let's feel her.
Okay. Then I want to thank everybody to be here, especially Jillian and Dr. Eric, and also translators Emil and Fanny, and especially also Fanny and Nushka, who did do a great job in supporting me mentally in this organization of this first Catalyst program in Belgium for years now. So if you guys want to find out more about reconnective healing, you could start with the book of Dr. Pearl, The Reconnection, Heal Others, Heal Yourself, or the second book. And yes, you can visit the website reconnection.com or reconnectiveacademy.com. And yeah, we'll hope to see you soon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Melissa,
Yeah.
is the second book already in Dutch?
No, just in English.
Ah, just in English. Okay.
Guy, the book is being translated into many other languages over these next months. It will be available in German, probably by August or the very latest September.
Oh, good.
We are waiting to hear on when it will be translated into Dutch, but
and French too, but we don't
Yes.
have a Dutch date at the moment.
yeah.
Okay.
We have to wait till the publishers give us those
Yeah.
dates.
Okay.
But
Okay,
sure,
I understand.
Guy, your English seems good. You might consider reading the new book.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah.
You may actually receive more from it with the quality of your English in the English, because, you know, there's always, as excellent as the translation can be, there's always a little layer of separation or distancing with each level of translation. And on other hands, it also opens us up to understanding. So it's a balance.
Yeah, but then you have the possibility with awareness and consciousness that is the same, and then what I have to understand. So if you're
That's true.
looking for translation, then it's
Bravo.
always
You're right.
Good.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. And thank you, Melissa, for this wonderful opportunity to meet with everyone and share and express and listen and hear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to our life leaders who are, I see many of you on the call sharing, and hi, Sarah, as well as some of our other event organizers and
Sorry, Mary and
practitioners.
Chelsea.
Really appreciate you being here.
Lovely.
We have listen, there is a love of friendship that also accompanies the reconnective healing experience, which is highly woven into consciousness here. It is very, very special. So thank you.
Welcome into our community, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Right.